Every single day in Britain, somebody somewhere unearths treasure. Objects left behind by our ancestors.
When we actually saw it, I was absolutely astounded.
That tell the story of our past.
I've done it! I've found a hoard of Roman coins, never been touched before.
These are Britain's secret treasures. Every year, the British public submits over 90,000 coins, rings and other treasures to the British Museum's Portable Antiquities Scheme, which catalogues them.
Together with a panel of leading experts, we've sifted through these thousands of finds and have come up with our top 50.
Yesterday, we went from 50 to 45. Today, we continue our countdown with 7 more fascinating objects.
Is this really a false nose from our distant past?
Yeah, he panicked and he dropped his nose and ran.
A 2,000-year-old comb reveals the grooming secrets of our ancestors.
This is almost kind of modern bling, isn't it?
Yeah. And the mystery of a hoard of buried gold coins.
Really? You think it's pirates?
I think it was. I like to think it is.
At number 44, an object that might well have been an incredibly early royal souvenir.
In 2011, our very own Prince William married his princess, and we, the British public, bought mugs, tea towels and all kinds of souvenirs to celebrate. But our love of royal memorabilia is nothing new. Our next object dates back centuries. In 2001, in a field in Rochester in Kent, a glint in the soil caught the eye of metal detectorist Brian Wood. It turned out to be a silver cufflink. When I was in politics, I felt I had to dress the part. Tailor-made suit, colourful tie, and the last detail, pièce de résistance, a stylish pair of cufflinks. Deep in the vaults of the British Museum lies a cufflink that binds our past with our present in more ways than one. Michael Lewis is one of the British Museum's team that records people's discoveries. Michael, hello.
Hello there.
I've come in search of the cufflinks.
Well, they're in here.
I can see how that would absolutely do the job. What have we got on the cufflink?
Well, we basically got 2 hearts and a crown above.
So this is something to do with a royal love affair, is it?
That's right. These cufflinks were made to celebrate the marriage of Charles II to Catherine of Braganza.
So we don't think this cufflink belonged to the king. It was worn in commemoration of the marriage, was it?
That's right. What you do find with Charles II is there's lots of kind of memorabilia celebrating him, and maybe not only the marriage, but him as a person.
Just as with Kate and William, in 1662, souvenirs and festivities flooded the land, and hopes were pinned on this popular king and his new queen to produce an heir. Sadly, Catherine and Charles could produce no living children. Whatever the problem may have been, it didn't prevent him having at least 12 illegitimate children by at least 7 mistresses. One of those mistresses was Louise de Querouaille, the Duchess of Portsmouth. And if we follow their issue down through the ages, through 4 Charles Lennoxes, to John Spencer, the 8th Earl of Spencer, he was the father of Diana, Princess of Wales, and she, of course, is the mother of Prince William. If Prince William is one day crowned king, he will be the first direct descendant of Charles II to occupy the throne. And just like his great ancestor, royal souvenirs will be made to celebrate his reign. And here, unless I'm very much mistaken, 350 years after cufflinks were first produced to celebrate a royal wedding, this lovely pair, Kate and William, with the date of their marriage, absolutely exquisite. But I think I'll keep my own.
Our next object could easily be just a modern implement for hair care, but in fact, it was thought to be made 2,000 years ago.
I've always been very interested in all aspects of hairdressing and I'm really looking forward to finding out what people did way, way back. In 2006, landscape surveyor Russell Peach discovered this comb in a field in Tamworth, Warwickshire. The original of this tiny comb was sold for an astonishing £26,000 to a private collector. But Miranda Aldhouse Green, an expert in all things relating to Iron Age hair, has the replica comb to show me.
How are you? Good to see you.
Let's hope we can untangle the mystery of the Tamworth comb.
Right. What do you think?
Well, this is not what I expected. I mean, it's a very, very beautiful piece of jewellery apart from anything else.
In the late Iron Age, there's this explosion of interest in personal grooming. This is all part of that.
I would not have thought of that at all.
So this...
Hold on, hang on. Man or a woman?
I suspect this is female, but it doesn't have to be. And certainly we know that men dress their hair just as elaborately as women.
I mean, this is almost kind of modern bling, isn't it?
Yeah.
I had no idea hairstyling was so important to our Iron Age ancestors. And Miranda has some examples of hairdos that have been fantastically preserved in peat bogs.
This is a skeleton of a man found in a peat bog.
He's not worn well, has he?
You wouldn't look terribly good if you'd been in a bog for 2,000 years.
Ooh. But interestingly enough, the hair, of course, actually is still there.
It is.
And would they have worn their hair long?
Yes, and I think there was this feeling that if you had long hair and a shaggy beard, it made you look intimidating. This is an Iron Age, I know, bog body from the centre of Ireland. His hair is gelled. You can see it sticking
kind
up.
of quiff-like.
Some Iron Age warriors stiffened their hair with almost like a kind of liquid cement, lime wash, to make it stand up straight in a kind of Jedwardy way.
It's not very frightening, though, is it, being Jedward?
Well, no, but you get the idea.
There's a mystery surrounding whether or not this comb was used as decoration or for combing hair. I'm going to put it to the test. Many of the women's hairstyles at the time seemed to involve a lot of plaits and twists. So I'm going to try something along those lines. And according to Miranda, they were often dressed up like this for sacrifice. So if we put on, say, for instance, maybe the mat mud, what would they have used?
Animal fat would be the main active ingredient, I think. I don't think it would smell awfully nice, and there were things living in it.
That sounds awful.
How good is that comb at doing what you're doing?
There is no way that that is going to go through somebody that hasn't washed their hair in a modern way. Because, I mean, I'm looking at the sort of the fineness of the teeth, and I'm thinking it's either just decorative or somebody with very, very fine hair, an older lady, or a young baby. It's a real privilege to try out this comb. I reckon it was used for decoration. It looks great.
Perfect. But she looks awfully as if she's dressed for some unpleasant ritual act.
Yes.
All we need now is a nice bog to put her in.
Oh, she'd love that.
Now, you know the British Iron Age ended with the arrival of the Romans, and our next item on the list once belonged to one of those Roman visitors.
Number 42 is this amazingly well-preserved figurine found in a field in Tadcaster in Yorkshire by Chris Hall. His name is Counterpartes, and he was servant of the Roman sun god Mithras. He was probably brought here around 2,000 years ago by a Roman soldier, carrying him around as a lucky charm. Perhaps he was wishing for good weather.
Well, the sun god has certainly given us his blessings today.
Makes a change, doesn't it? At number 41, we've got a collection of objects that were once lost or simply thrown away, but now provide an intriguing insight into the way that we used to live.
Gary Bankhead likes rescuing stuff.
Buttons, medallions, coins, lots of pistols. Found many pistols, so we hand all of them over to the police.
He didn't rescue these from burning buildings. Gary is a scuba diving treasure enthusiast. Of all the treasure that Gary scooped up from the bottom of Durham's rivers, it's his huge collection of cloth seals that have made it into our top 50.
We managed to pull out
around 170 cloth seals now.
Wow.
And before we discovered them here in the river, there'd been none found at all in Durham City.
Cloth seals were guarantees, the kite marks of their day. They were clipped onto the side of cloth bales to show both their origin and their quality.
So if that was a weaver and your cloth started to fall apart, you would say, well, go back to them, bang on their door, you know, you've done a shoddy job.
In the 16th and 17th centuries, cloth underpinned the national economy, accounting for 90% of all UK exports. For Gary, rescuing Durham's past has become his passion.
It's massively overtaken everything I do. You're discovering artefacts that nobody has seen for 500, 600, 700 years. And you were the very first person to pull that piece out of the river.
Coming up, an erotic Roman token,
The Romans were saucy.
a smuggler's long-lost nose, and a mysterious stash of gold coins.
We're counting down the top 50 objects, all discovered by the British public. Really remarkable finds that are rewriting the story of our past.
We're also looking for new treasures, so if you found something you think the British Museum might like to see, go to itv.com/treasure. We'll be revealing the best of the new discoveries on Sunday night.
Now, you could argue that the foundations of modern society were laid when the Romans came to Britain. Streets, sanitation, laws, and a slightly obsessive interest in sex.
There's always been a seedy side to London, but it's thought that it was the Romans who first introduced erotic imagery and art to our shores.
This ancient token shows a slightly unusual Roman numeral for 14, and on the other side, there's a rather erotic image. Found at the side of the River Thames in Putney by a man who loves a bit of mud. Whenever Regis Curzon gets a break from his day job as head pastry chef at exclusive London restaurant Nobu,
He looks like mud.
he likes nothing more than messing around in the muddy Thames foreshore.
Regis!
Hey, Marianne, how are you doing?
Ahoy!
How are you doing?
Nice to meet you. So you're a mudlark?
Yes, welcome to my world. I'm a member of the Thames Mudlark Society, and I'm the first French to be accepted inside this small club, no?
Congratulations. So I don't have a licence. What am I allowed to do?
You're just allowed to pick up things, but you're not allowed to disturb the surface of the foreshore.
It is quite exciting, I have to say, because you don't quite know what is going to be in your next footstep. You see bottles, tiles, bones all around us. So tell us about this token that you found.
I thought, first of all, it was a Roman coin, you know? I saw a couple who seems to have a little bit of fun there and start to do some research on the internet and found out it was a brothel token.
What did you search for on the internet?
Well, I think,
Roman
if
coin,
I remember well, I think I put...
having fun.
No, I didn't put Roman couple having fun. I just put, I think, Roman coin and sex. Well, and some stuff started to come out, and I said, well,
that's it.
Yeah.
When a mudlark finds anything significant, they take it to Kath Creed, who's based here at the Museum of London. She took us to see this intriguing token.
Oh, is that my brothel token?
Yep, this is your brothel token, Regis.
It looks really cool now.
I like it. The Romans were saucy. So how would this have been used as a brothel token?
People matched up these kind of very provocative images with the numbers on the other side and thought maybe that would be a way of communicating.
So, like on a menu, I hand over my token, I'd say, I'd like one of these, please. It's cost me 14, whatever.
Exactly. However, a more recent suggestion is that they could be gaming pieces, much like a pack of cards that you might have now. That actually it's the number that is the functional part of the token.
Oh, and this is just a bit of saucy decoration?
Exactly.
Regis has generously donated this very rare token to the museum as a reminder of London's Roman past.
It's absolutely incredible that this was sloshing about in the mud before you found it.
Who knows what will wash up for Regis next?
The Thames is a real receptacle for London's history, and it seems that you can find all kinds of weird and wonderful things here in Britain. None stranger, perhaps, than our next object.
Our next piece of treasure looks like it's been lying about on the dusty shelves of an ancient joke shop.
It looks like a piece of sculpture.
But in fact, this is one of the only examples of a medieval false nose. So who wore it and why? I've travelled to East Sussex to meet the man that found it, Ray Wilson.
Hello, Ray.
Oh, hello. Wow.
It's tiny.
Where did this weird little nose come from?
This is where I found it.
Ray has a romantic notion. He believes this windy hillside was used by smugglers in the 17th and 18th centuries to bring in tea, brandy and gin.
Well, I think they got frightened off by the customs and excise men. I think they were bringing up their contraband, which was being smuggled into the country, and they would fire over their heads, and they panicked, and he dropped his nose and ran.
Why would a smuggler be wearing a false nose? I've come to the Hunterian Museum at the Royal College of Surgeons to see if I can find out more.
This is one of my favourite objects. It's a sad story in that this woman contracted syphilis and she lost her nose. And when she did, she had this prosthesis made for her. They really seem fairly similar.
Very similar.
It is possible that it may have been worn because the patient had had syphilis.
Syphilis is a predominantly sexually transmitted infection that can eat away at both flesh and bone. Although today it can be treated, in the 18th and 19th centuries it ravaged Britain.
Really, we have no idea of knowing who owned this nose, but it's such a finely crafted piece of sculpture that it's a work of art in its own right.
Our next investigation could have come straight out of a storybook. It's got pirates, it's got buried treasure, and it's got a very curious twist of fate.
I love a good treasure story, and somewhere in these Lincolnshire fields there was a game of cat and mouse involving some mysterious gold.
In 1928, in the midst of yet another economic depression, a pair of farm workers couldn't believe their luck when they unearthed 18 gold coins. They'd made their fortune and did what any sensible Englishman would do. They went to the pub to celebrate. And after a few too many pints,
they proudly showed off their gold coins to the locals. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
But their drunken boasting got the better of them, and soon word of their golden find got out. The coins were declared treasure trove and went to the British Museum. The treasure became the stuff of legend, with rumours that there was more, but none was found. That is until 80 years later, when care home manager Sue Green had a stroke of luck and found the remaining gold coins in the very same spot.
So this is the field that you found your treasure then?
It is. I saw this shiny gleam. I picked it up and brushed it and noticed it was gold coin.
How many did you find?
4. To pick that coin up and think no one's had that in their hands since that day that they were buried.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that is a real buzz.
What's your theory on where these coins have come from then?
I'd like to think that they're pirate gold.
Really? You think it's pirates?
I think it was. I like to think it is.
When Sue found the doubloons, she took them to Fines liaison officer Adam Daubney. Where does he think these coins came from?
Sue is pretty convinced, I say, that the reason these coins are underground in a field in Lincolnshire is because of pirates. You're laughing. Does that mean you agree?
I love it.
Or disagree?
Well, at this time, we have got Spanish treasure ships coming across the sea from South America to Spain. That is one possibility. Piracy and pirate gold.
Romance.
Exactly. You know, these are very romantic coins, and here they are. These are the daddy of gold coins. These are the sorts of things that you're undertaking high-status transactions with.
These Spanish-American doubloons were mass-produced in South America during the 1700s and shipped all over the world. They were the first real global currency.
If you look at the number of coin hoards that go into the ground at this time, there's a peak, and that's because it's the time of the French Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars. People are afraid, they maybe don't trust the banks, and so they're taking the money out and putting it in the ground.
But why did the owner never come back for them? The answer may lie in this abandoned mansion, close to where they were found.
OK, Adam, what's your theory? I won't keep you to it. OK. What is it?
Well, the land was owned by Sir Robert Hobart. Now, he was the 4th Earl of Buckinghamshire and also Secretary of State to War in the Colonies.
OK, so he had a bit of status and wealth.
Very, very powerful guy. This place here, which is Nocton Hall, was owned by his family, so he's got very strong local connections.
So, do you think it was him that buried these coins for safekeeping?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Interestingly, Robert Hobart fell off his horse and died as a result of his injuries shortly after these coins went in the ground. Now, is that a coincidence?
We'll never know.
Could it be that Hobart died, taking the secret of the buried treasure to his grave?
The collection in Lincoln acquired the coins through the treasure process, and Sue received over £1,000 per coin. So Hobart's bad luck was Sue's good luck.
We'll be back tomorrow night with a spooky witch's bottle, an ancient beer tankard, and some rare medieval bling.